That's the sound of another door shutting in the face of progress. They'll plant their flags in the seabed. Shackleton is rolling in his grave. So let me get this straight. As we witness the ice caps melt, instead of being spurred into changing our ways, we're going to invest in military hardware to fight for the remaining oil that's left beneath the ice? Well, what happens when it's all gone? You haven't thought this through, have you, boys? My name is Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
I'm Guy Pigden. Who was that?
That was my favourite band, Enter Shikari, from their song Arguing with Thermometers. And the reason why it's relevant at the moment is because they have... So Shackleton, it says, Shackleton must be rolling in his grave. That's what it says. And it's kind of a song with an Arctic theme about, exploring oil under the ice and all these types of things. And it's a reference to Shackleton, who was an explorer, and his ship got caught in the ice, in ice flows, and then it basically got frozen into place. So they were cruising through somewhere, and then the ice started forming around them, and over the course of 10 months, they just got slowly more and more trapped in this ice until eventually they were completely surrounded by ice, and then the ice crushed the ship, and then the ship sank beneath the ice, and they were just in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Antarctica.
Didn't they get out?
They did, and that's what makes it such a remarkable story.
And they also just discovered that boat.
That's why I've got those lyrics, my friend.
Okay,
you see
brilliant.
It all fits together. You see it all fits together.
Topical.
Yes, exactly. And so it's called Endurance. That's probably what I should have called this episode, Endurance. So yes, that is the name of that. That is why we were doing that. So bloody good on you for finding that ship out there. And I looked at the pictures, and it was incredibly well preserved because of the extremely cold temperature and maybe low oxygen levels in the down in the bottom of the ocean there.
Well, it also does lead to another topic.
Yeah, what's that?
Pain at the pump.
Ooh.
Pain at the pump. So 91 unleaded has just gone up to just over $3, I think. And people are complaining.
Yeah,
people are angry.
People are shitting the bed about that one in New Zealand.
People are mad. People are blaming the government.
It's never gone over $3 before, ever, that I'm aware of in New Zealand.
No. People think that it's the government's fault.
Yeah.
A right-wing Richard was screaming from the mountaintops about how he had to return his car and quit his job because he couldn't afford petrol anymore. And that was basically... a result of a few things, but people are blaming the government's fuel tax that they're putting out on.
That would make sense if the whole country was just normal fuel price, but Auckland was more, because Auckland's got an extra fuel taxes, I'm pretty sure. And so that would make sense. If for the rest of the country it was $1.50, but here it was $3. That would make sense, but it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. That's not what's happening. People just love, the first thing they love, especially right-wing people, they love to just instantly blame the government for anything.
It's always the government's fault.
If it's a Labour government, if it's a left-wing government, they'll instantly blame it. And it's like, no, dudes, there's a war going on, for crying out loud, in a country that provides a huge chunk of the fossil fuel resources in the world. So obviously that's going to affect it.
That's the underlying culprit.
Yeah. But then there's also the things like the inflation and other bits and pieces. But really, it's probably that war's got quite a bit to do with it. And then on top of that, you've got the fact that fossil fuels are a finite resource, and we're burning millions of tons of them every single day. So if you've got a finite amount of something, and every day you use some of it, the remaining amount becomes more valuable because there's no more of it.
It's true.
That's generally the principle. It's how capitalism works.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny old thing, because I can't say if this one is crunch time. Like I can't say that the prices won't drop back down to around $2, which is, or just under $2, which is what they were at their sort of, better times, right? I can't say if that will potentially happen or not, because it might, it absolutely might. But it also, I have a feeling it could absolutely not. It could kind of just stay around this and kind of ever creep up. And like at a certain point, like we do as a society have to accept that, as you said, this is a result of a finite resource, and then a finite resource becoming even more finite in the blink of a war.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other compounding factor on this is, climate change and how we're going to shift away from this thing. And what's the best way to stop people from doing something or doing it less is to charge them more for it. That's really, one of the ways, and then utilize the money that you charge more for to kind of to divert into other avenues of more renewable resources or more battery-powered, vehicles or trains or infrastructures that will help mitigate the biggest problem, which is the whole climate change thing, that old world burning chestnut. And and unfortunately, there's two things here. I was very zen about paying $3 at the pump the other day. I was very zen about it. I was very,
whatever.
I was like, it is what it is. So I was like, look, it's one of two things here. If we're saying it's the war, well, then it's the war. And if we're cutting off Russia, then we're literally paying more fuel for a good cause, which is to fuck up Russia, which is the whole point, is to fuck up Russia in a way that we don't start World War III. We just inconvenience them to the point that they go, you know what?
I'm giving up on this.
This is too inconvenient. This war is too inconvenient. Just backing out.
Putin's just like, this was a silly idea.
I want to be making all this money off my oil, so I'm going to back out of this. So if we're doing it for that reason, that's a good reason. If we're doing it because we have to pay more tax to set up all these things that we talked about to sort of move away from the fossil fuel sort of car-driven sort of New Zealand, that's a good thing. So, it's like kind of important. Like it is kind of important, whatever way you look at it.
You're a freedom fighter. When you go to the petrol station and you
pay that extra
$3
money
per litre, you are a freedom fighter.
It's like I'm on the front lines.
You are on the front lines, and you are fighting for the defense of the Ukraine.
And the defense of the world as a whole, and supporting the...
so don't complain, New Zealand.
So don't be little bitches about it.
Don't be little bitches. Go buy some extra petrol.
Yeah. Like, top it up, go
and then fill up your bottle.
I was going to say, top it up, burn some off, come back, top it up again.
Yeah, there you go.
You're helping the war effort.
Yeah.
But the other thing, I guess, is, when I say I was very zen about it, it's because I have money at the moment.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm
a privileged white
yeah, exactly.
Man.
It's because I'm a rich, privileged white man. And so when I say I'm very zen about it and like it's cool and like we should all just...
And you drive a Prius
and hey,
you drive an economical Prius.
Exactly. I drive an...
fill it up once, it lasts 3 months.
And so I do realize because, if we cut back to 4 years ago and I was hit with that $3, it'd be a real problem. It'd be a real big problem. And I'd probably be like... right-wing Richard, like bouncing off the walls, and proclaiming that I'm going to quit and go on the dole because it'd be worth more. Which is not true.
No.
But you know how I know that Richard is better?
How? Because he's complaining.
Because he's bitching
stuff.
like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And his new lease on life, he said he was having a new lease on life, a greater appreciation. COVID bit him in the ass. He took it too lightly. He felt fucking terrible. Well,
now he's taking the war too lightly.
Now he's complaining like he always did. The lease on life is gone. He's absolutely back to his old tricks, and that's how I know that he's fully recovered, and I'm very happy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that
Shout out Richard.
Shout out Richard. I'm glad he's on the mend. I'm glad he's feeling much better, and I'm glad he's got his hubris back. I'm glad that he's got his rage against the machine.
Yeah.
The left wing machine.
Yeah.
And it's all come back. He's forgot about that whole lease on life thing. That's that was only temporary when his life seemed in jeopardy. But he's sort of back now. So shout out to Richard. I'm sure he'll listen to this eventually, and he'll know. He's like, yeah, I am feeling very healthy.
I'm back to my old self. Well, the good thing, right, about this whole Russia starting a war situation is one of the good things, and we've got to get through the pain first. But ultimately,
pain at the pump first.
What it's going to do is it's going to transition humanity away from fossil fuels even faster, as quickly all of these nations are starting to realize that they can't be reliant on another nation for their energy needs. If you get 50%
Especially
of your
somewhere like
energy-
Russia.
Exactly, especially if it's someone like Russia. But anybody, you know, like you can't be relying on somebody else for something as important as that. And so what's going to happen is they need to find, every nation needs to be self-sustainable. So how are they going to do that? Well, the answer is obvious. Like, I mean, if they don't have oil in the land, then they can't mine for oil. Well, what they do have, doesn't matter where you are in the world, is you've got wind blowing every day. You've got solar coming down from the sky. You know, you've got waves. You've got geothermal stuff. You've got other ways to get energy, and so it makes sense that these more renewable ways we're going to be transitioning to that now. So that's a good thing. Especially for my stock, where I've been buying renewable battery-related stuff, renewable energy, battery-related stuff. So that's kind of a good thing that's going to come out of all of this. So COVID, hallowed be thy name, it connected us, allowed us to work online. We no longer need as much petrol to get to.
We don't have to go to the office anymore.
We don't have offices that are burning electricity all
Work
day,
from
every
home.
day. We're just working from home. We're not driving as much. And so this is all good stuff for the environment. And now we're going to be having each nation and now has a very real incentive to become self-sustaining in the energy sector. So that's, again, a very good thing because a lot of those countries are going to have to figure out ways to make renewables work. The problem is it's going to take a few years. But
the problem is you're going to be paying for a lot of petrol for some time, and it's going to be really hard for some people.
Yeah.
But I think that's, we talk about the price of progress, right? Yeah. All of these transitions were always going to be painful. Like the idea of moving away from fossil fuel and petrol and gas was always going to be incredibly painful, right? Because that's why we've been putting it off so long at the expense of the earth in its entirety, because we're like, maybe next year. Like every country was like, billions of dollars of,
Infrastructure
investment. Maybe next year. It sounds a little bit too hard basket. Let's think about that next year.
We'll
and also,
we're doing it. We'll make actions like we're doing it.
Yeah, we'll put into place plans that we're going to do it by a certain year, which means that our specific government doesn't actually have to really address that unless we stay in for the next 10 years, which none of us do, so it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it does sort of help change in the right direction. But that, I feel like our big problem with addressing climate change is just how painful it is to address climate change in the modern world that we've become used to, and the types of limitations or the things that may affect us in what we have come to enjoy and like is the very things that we will have to sacrifice, give up, or pay more for to put in place actual plans that really truly address it. And that's the real issue. And so just like COVID sort of forced everyone to go, well, we have to accept that people can work from home because we can't have them in the office. This is kind of a similar situation where it's like, hopefully it's like, well, we have to accept that we can't rely on fossil fuels because we literally just cut out our biggest, the place we import our biggest one from. But who knows? Hopefully, it will be that sort of thing that climate change needs to, to instigate a lot of these things that have been, talked about.
Shout out to Jim Maddox Jr., who just hit like on the stream. Bloody good on you, mate. Thank you. Appreciate that. Shout out to Jezza Housen as well. Good man. Thanks for tuning in. And then also a big shout out to Connor McGinty, long-time Patreon supporter.
Love it.
He's currently watching from my lounge.
Long-time brother
Long-time brother.
You.
Yeah. Long-time my brother. He's been a lifelong brother.
He's been your brother for how many years?
22 years.
He's been your brother for 22 years. Patreon supporter for a couple.
I don't know what he was up to for the other 16. I'm 38 now. He's fucking around. But for 22 years, for the last 22 years, he has been my brother. And for the last probably, 4 years or something, he's been a Patreon supporter as well. So thank you so much, Connor, for being a Patreon supporter, and shout out to our other Patreon supporters as well. You know who you are. Now this, I this war situation, have you sort of looked into this at all now, or are you still just kind of letting that one? You're just gonna let me keep you up to date on that one?
No, I'll just let you keep me up to date.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting, but it seems to be going very poorly for the Russians, is how it seems to be going, which is obviously great.
Yep, it's good news.
Because it was meant to be, by the sounds of it, it was meant to be like a 48-hour blitzkrieg.
Yeah, meant to be all wrapped up.
Charge on in and, smash it out, and, that's that. We'll get those Ukrainians. But now it would seem that basically they didn't realize how hard war was, and they haven't done any major wars for quite a long time. And now it sort of seems like perhaps this war could actually end up dragging on for a very long time, potentially, because Putin can't back out because he's a war criminal now. And, you can't just go back to normal politics after murdering a bunch of babies, right? So he's a war criminal. He's no longer welcome in the West. So he's basically... If he stays in power, then they become North Korea, so he can't really back down. He's got to win. And then on the flip side of that, the Ukrainians can't just give up and go, oh, okay, well, you've murdered a bunch of our people, and that's fine. We're just going to let you keep the territory you've taken. Keep Chernobyl. And so he's done a lot of damage to the country, and so how can they really come to peace? It's going to be quite difficult to do that, and so it seems quite plausible that this could be a bit of a protracted conflict. But I've been seeing, which is terrible news for my stock, by the way. Terrible news for my stock.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your stock.
Okay.
All right, because you've been here on the podcast bragging about your stocks and shares, how much money you've made, and all those sorts of things for a number of years now. And how you're the stocks guru, right? Everything you do turns to gold.
Everyone says, every time they talk about stocks online, they go, "This is not financial advice. This is not financial advice." And this is because they can get in serious trouble for giving out financial advice if you're not a qualified financial professional.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say this is definitely financial advice, and everything I've been saying on the podcast,
all the way
it's
up
all
to this
financial
point.
advice.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about all that money you lost.
Yeah, so, where are you at in terms of the amount that you've invested?
Yeah.
Right? Like, your base level of investment.
Yeah.
Are you still up? Are you not up?
I am up, my friend. I am up. I'm just not as up as I used to be. I used to be up to sort of in the vicinity of roughly $30,000 up. Now I'm approximately maybe $4,000 up, basically. But of course, we're in peak fear at the moment. This is peak fear. It was the same after COVID. The stock market dropped because everybody was so scared, and that's the peak fear moment. And then from there, it recovered. Then we had a war. Boom, stock market drops. Peak fear. We're at peak fear at the moment, but presumably it is going to recover. And so yeah. I mean, now's obviously the worst time, and I'm still up, so I'm not too worried. But it would be obviously better if I was, at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of the year. But I haven't lost any of my money. I mean, not yet. Touch wood. So it's all good. If anybody wants to get into the investing game, everything's cheap at the moment, and there's links in the description to sign up, and you get a referral fee, and so do I. So it's a great way to support the show, and also to get free money for yourself. Shout out to Selena. Bloody good on you. So yes, overall I am up. I'm not too worried about, not too worried. Basically, I would just like to buy more stock right now while everything's cheap, but I can't because I've got no fucking money because of COVID screwing up all the opportunities to work in New Zealand. So I've got less work than normal at exactly the time when you want to be buying more stock. Which is what happened with COVID as well, pretty much. Less money, but the stock is exactly when you want to be investing, right? When everyone else is scared, that's when you want to pick up your giant balls and put your life savings on the line.
Put them on the table.
Yeah.
Put them all on the table.
Yeah. But yeah, so overall, so far so good. I'm hoping it'll get better. We'll see. Now, regarding the war, I have been seeing a lot of really great videos. And war has never really... This is all fresh. This is new. This is, another one of these many interesting transitions that you and I are living through, which is war has never been documented in real time like this before. This is in HD, even the more recent wars weren't quite the same as this, where there's just drones everywhere and everybody's got a
camera.
Everybody has a camera. And so it's never been documented in real time like this before, to the point where people's TikTok videos are now having an actual real life effect on the tactical situation on the ground, because they do their TikTok video and in the background's a tank, and then the enemy goes, well, there's the tanks. Oh, I see they're approaching Kiev via that highway because this person on TikTok just let me know that. And so they're giving away the positions of troops and transports and all that type of thing for both sides. Not, so like, civilians might be giving away Ukrainian information as well by mistake, but they're also giving away Russian information, so it's just very interesting, I think. From the perspective of a military history nerd, it's really interesting to watch it unfold in real time. And so I've been watching a YouTube channel where this guy basically every day does a live stream talking about what's happened in the last 24 hours, and he's got a map. What you're watching on YouTube is his screen recording, and it's maps, and he's gone and dropped pins at every place where it actually happened, so you can see exactly on the map where it is, and then it'll cut to the drone footage or whatever of, like, tanks getting smoked, and it's just all in HD, or not quite HD, but sometimes HD.
Nothing like an informative YouTube video to keep you abreast of important things
and stock market stuff.
Yeah, computer updates, etc. But also wars.
Yeah,
which computer to buy, but also wars, and where you should and shouldn't be in that particular war.
Yeah. Selena runs a show, the show that I was on a little while ago, and she messaged you apparently, Guy.
She did. Have not replied yet.
Trying to get you on the show.
Haven't replied. But I did take her advice. So she said,
put a link in the description.
Link in the bio. I just did that before we started the podcast, but I did not respond yet. I am very busy.
It's on the to-do list.
It takes me a little while to respond to things. But
I knew you would reply. That's what I said to her. I said, oh, I'm pretty sure he'll get back to you.
I will, of course, reply. No doubt about that. And Aaron Richardson says, hello from your hometown, bros, Dunners. Great as always.
Shout out to Aaron. Bloody good on you, mate. Duds, baby. Duds. What does Paulette say there?
Dirty Dunners. Well, it's hard to read with my eyes, but she says, solar and wind have failed Germany and Europe. Mining is increasing for raw materials needed for renewables. Oil required for that, but haven't we just set it up to change people's perception around the cleanest energy, nuclear? That appears to be back on the table.
Yeah, I've changed.
Well, it is back on the table. Absolutely, it's back on the table.
I've changed my mind about nuclear. I'm all for it now.
There you go.
I used to be like, no, like we'll get rid of it. The reason why I didn't like nuclear in my youth was because when you finish the process of creating nuclear energy,
you have nuclear waste.
You've got all of this water left over, which is all radioactive, and it's nuclear waste. And what are you going to do with it? And I was like, it's just going to build up. This lasts for thousands of years. What are you going to do with that? But nowadays, I realize that actually the amount of nuclear waste is, you can just bury it somewhere. Like it's not a huge amount. It's not like you're just burning every single piece of coal in the world and releasing it into the atmosphere, which is a million times worse. Or all the oil and releasing that into the atmosphere, or burning anything and putting it into the atmosphere. It's not the same. You just dig a big hole, put the nuclear waste in it, bury it nice and deep. It's not that bad compared to...
and tell no one to do digging around that area for the next couple hundred years.
It'd be tens of thousands maybe.
So
that's the problem.
There is still a problem with the nuclear waste.
Yeah.
And there is a problem that presumably if nuclear was embraced the world over, that we may create too much nuclear waste to maintain.
But what about the fact that nuclear is way more efficient than, say, burning oil? So what that means is you don't need as much. So you don't need it. It's going to last longer. There's going to be less waste. But either way, it's kind of the lesser of two evils.
And that's really what we're looking at right now in terms of climate action is what is the lesser the lesser of the evils, because we're in a climate crisis. How do we manage a crisis? Which evil do we embrace? The lesser one, nuclear.
Makes sense to me, especially because it does seem renewables is the real future. Because it just makes sense. We've got a giant nuclear reactor in the sky beaming down enough energy for the whole planet every single day, and literally everything that we do originally came from the sun. All the energy in the world originally came from the sun, pretty much, apart from like geothermal maybe. And so what are you going to do? You can't. That's it's silly to ignore that. It's very obvious that in the long term, if you look at the history of humanity, there's going to be a point where they go, yeah, I can't believe we fucked around for so long when we had all that free energy from the sky. Literally every day, that we could harvest as much as we wanted and more, and not have any negative or no real major negative effects. Obviously, there are negative effects though, like mining for nickel, and mining for stuff like whatever you need for the solar panels, and mining for battery ingredients and all that.
Clouds become a problem. Inclement weather is an issue.
Why? Why would there be more clouds?
No, just because obviously.
Because they block the sun.
If they block the sun, yeah.
I'm with you.
Inclement weather, they never factored in that.
Yeah.
So for a place like the UK, for half of the year, they wouldn't have any power running anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's dreary and grey the whole time.
I know, but you could the wind, right? So what you could do is you could put a turbine next to all of the whining POMs. They'll all be complaining all day about how cold it is and how they've got no electricity, and their breath will spin the turbines.
The complaints
will
build
spin
up
the turbines, and they'll have power in the other half of the year as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to our British listeners.
The whinging POMs.
The whinging POMs. Thanks, Paulette, for the thumbs up on the live stream. Do appreciate that.
So that's true. That's another solution there. So
yeah, that'll work.
Pain at the pump.
Yeah. That's probably what I should have called this episode instead of World War Me. Now, you listeners will be sad to hear, and you too, Guy, will be sad to hear that I can confirm that I did not get either of those roles that I auditioned for. I auditioned for 2 roles, and I said in the last episode that they were a complete waste of time, that I knew I was going to get neither of them. They were both American accent. One of them was, I could probably say that it was for Sweet Tooth. It's for that show Sweet Tooth.
Yep.
Yeah, big show, big Netflix show. I'd love
to get another season.
I'd love to get on it, and they're shooting it right here in New Zealand, Sweet Tooth. And so I had an audition for that to be a small supporting character, and I didn't get it. And it was American accent, but truthfully, it didn't really suit me anyway. The role didn't really suit me. I was going to be a tough military drill sergeant type, and probably I've got to have an authoritative voice, which I don't think I do, and an authoritative physique, which I don't think I do. They'll be like, why the fuck is Danny DeVito telling these jacked up soldiers what to do? It doesn't make any sense. And so I unsurprisingly, I didn't get that one. And then the other one was American accent, no dialogue, and that meant that I had to go in there and improvise in an American accent, which obviously went probably quite terribly. I mean, I had fun, to be fair, but it was probably terrible. And I happen to know I've got insider information on this one, that I know that I didn't get it because someone else got it. But the good news about that one is they went in a different direction. And what I mean by that is they cast somebody with a different skin color than me. So I feel like, well, probably they were probably, if that's what they wanted, then I never really had a chance anyway. So I often feel a bit better about that. When I go for a role and then it gets cast by somebody of a different ethnicity than me, I'm like, okay, that's doesn't mean I sucked. It means that I didn't have the look they wanted. So cool.
Never be mad when you don't get a role.
Yeah.
Because just know that while your audition may have been great, they just weren't looking for you. Mm-hmm. They're looking for something a little bit different to whatever you did.
Yeah. There you go. So I didn't get either of those, but that's okay because I am in a Savage Filmmaker skit.
That's true.
Using Unreal Engine, and I caught a little glimpse of it today, a very, very brief glimpse of it today, looking over your shoulder. How's that going?
Yeah, well, shout out to...
what are you doing and how's it going?
So shout out to Bernie, who may or may not be listening to the live stream.
Bernie Rao, the man.
He is the one that created the Unreal environment. And so basically what happened is a little while ago, we filmed, you and I filmed against this blue screen backdrop, which we put right behind here, and we shot this skit to put in Unreal Engine. And it was really a test for Bernie, who is going to be making a short film in Unreal. And Unreal Engine is essentially where you create these 3D environments. It's green screen, it's blue screen, but the environments are more interactive, shall we say, and they work in a slightly different way, and it's kind of like we're we're going. And in fact, maybe a good example of this might be, and it's not even necessarily, green screen or blue screen, it might be LED screen and it's being projected, but there are all these Unreal environments that sort of work and move with you. And so we shot this little test, and Bernie's been hard at work. I've been harassing him almost like daily.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's been getting very upset because he's had real work to do.
Yeah. Can you imagine how upset you would be if it was
Exactly. That's why I say.
Fuck! Leave me alone, Bernie!
Exactly.
I'll get there when I get there, okay? I'm almost ready. I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I understand his frustration because I've been there. But essentially, I've just sort of been saying like, hey, how's it going? And he's had some real work, the paid kind, that's sort of kept him from really digging into it, but also, the amount of volume of work, it was a learning process to see, and, he's probably put many, many hours into it. And we were sort of going back and forth, but I think we've got the final version now, and just what you were looking at was essentially the final version, and I was just doing a few little tweaks to it. But so this will be up on the Savage Filmmaker, which features the two of us. And it's not 100% perfect, there's things that we could kind of keep tweaking, but it's also one of those things where it's like, it's a fucking YouTube skit.
Yeah.
All right?
How much time you got to put into it?
It's a fucking YouTube skit.
How long
Will
can you
you
really put
just
into it?
get on with it?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about myself because, you always have that thing where you're like, yeah, but if you're saying you are doing Unreal Engine and it doesn't look great, then you are looking like a dipshit.
Right.
Not to be fair.
Only to like a very specific.
Only to hardcore nerds.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the other thing about this, because this is the Unreal Engine is just a skit, and we don't even say it's an Unreal Engine. That's going to be another episode. We don't even talk about Unreal Engine. All they see is this cool effect, really. And then I go in to talk about the M1s and the different kind of Macs you can buy at the moment. But ironically, because this process, we shot this about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. But ironically, since that time, March 8th, they just had this new Apple announcement where they basically announced this new set of Mac computers.
Yeah. Is this the desktop I've finally been waiting for?
Well, no, not exactly. They've basically expanded what we have here that's running this, which is a Mac Mini, but bigger, and it's called the Mac Ultra, and it basically is like this really...
The Mac Maxi.
Yeah, it's basically this really professional thing. But anyway, what has actually happened is, this literally happened 2 days ago. They've taken off the computer that I compare in my video.
Yeah.
So essentially I'm comparing the new M1 Max to the Intel iMac, which is now, as of 2 days ago, no longer available.
Right.
So the whole thing is completely redundant. Throw it in the bin. 30 minutes, a month's worth of work, done. So...
Well, maybe you should use this Unreal footage, this Unreal skit, to introduce a skit about a video about Unreal Engine.
Yes. Well, that's the next step.
That would be
the next step.
The way
but
to fix this.
It just went from something that had the potential to get a lot of views to being like, it's not, I mean, there's lots of people with that same computer still there that might be thinking of upgrading. So that's who it's for.
Yeah.
But it's still taken a serious hit.
Yeah.
It's in the matter of 2 days, one announcement and one strike from the Apple website.
Yeah.
And they've made my videos redundant.
Thanks, Apple.
Fucking thank you very much, Apple. Selling your $8,000 Mac Mini.
8,000.
8,000 for the kind of the top.
For the new one, you mean?
So again, there's different tiers, but like for the best version of it.
But not the Mac Mini, the Mac Maxi.
The Mac Ultra.
Yeah, Mac Maxi.
Yeah. The Mac Maxi Ultra.
Yeah.
Is $8,000 for. Which is really good. Like, it gives you a lot of great things, but it's still a bit Apple priced, shall we say?
Well, now that it's the end of the financial year, maybe I'll just buy one.
You got $8,000?
Well, I do technically.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So,
you need to move some money.
Yeah,
might be a good investment.
If anybody needs me to invest in their project, just let me know. I'll pay for the whole thing.
Need to move around some money. The tax man cometh.
So I do need to buy some stuff. Yeah.
That's true.
I had a job the other day, thanks to you,
Yep.
where I was an auto cue operator.
Yep.
Despite never having actually, I mean, I've worked with auto cues, I've used auto cues, I've worked around auto cues, I've seen auto cues being operated, but I've never been an auto cue operator myself. But then the other day there was a job that you found that you couldn't do, so I did it, and now I'm an auto cue operator. And now if you look at my CV, it says I'm a professional auto cue operator.
Cushy job too.
Fake it till you make it. It wasn't the cushiest job I've ever done. I've done some pretty cushy jobs. This one was a little bit difficult in that I was doing the auto cue, but I was also doing the acting. I was acting across from the main person because the main person was playing two characters. The main person was playing two characters, and so in different costumes. And so what that meant was I was constantly playing the other version, the other person, which they didn't mention in the job description.
Well,
but fortunately, I had the appropriate acting experience.
Really, you should be charging extra for that.
Oh, absolutely!
That's an extra $25 per hour, if you ask me.
Well, I think you're right. Like if they were looking for an actor to come and do that job, they'd have to pay them.
You're like, hey, I'm not the script reader.
Yeah.
I'm literally the guy that plays the auto cue. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to operate the auto cue. That's what my job description is.
But you know what my logic was, I don't really care. It's fine. So it's not that hard. B, I want to, what's the word? Something
over deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
Always over deliver.
Exactly. I want them to think of me and go, oh yeah, we really threw him that curveball and he just like really took it and ran with it, and did a good job. So hopefully they call me up again for another another little role somewhere here and there. Not that they've paid me yet, but I'm sure they will.
Well, I think that'll be coming next week.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, fake it till you make it. That's my advice to the listeners. Fake it until you make it. If somebody offers you a job, you just say yes and then figure it out. I do that all the time. I do it all the time, and it always goes fine. So, fake it until you make it.
It's never gone poorly, although I feel like you did document a time where it did really go poorly when you first did that for the radio.
Which one was that? What happened?
I just feel like you kind of fucked up some of the radio producing that you were doing because you didn't know how to control it correctly.
Was this
back, we're literally talking like 3 or 4 years, years ago when you first started doing it, because you hadn't been given proper training either, and you were kind of like, but I can't remember.
Yeah, well, I can't remember either. It sounds like a made-up story. I've recently been hired by a new radio person as well, so I must be doing something right. I'm working for a new sports broadcaster in New Zealand, and every now and then they call me up to come along and do a bit of work for them. So it's good. Fingers in multiple pies, that's the way to do it. Tonight we are going to be filming, if I'm not mistaken, a little something.
If we finish this podcast quick enough, that would be the $1 million question, actually. It all depends when we finish this podcast, because we do need a little bit of light for it to happen.
Well, you're in luck, mate, because I've got no notes. So
okay.
So don't worry, it'll probably be a quick one.
Okay.
But so we are filming tonight, theoretically. After this show, we're going to go into the backyard. I'm going to put on my best lumberjack outfit, which is going to be great for my OnlyFans. I'll get a few behind the scenes for my OnlyFans. And I've got my lumberjack outfit, some sort of lumberjack outfit, and I'm going to be chopping wood in extreme slow motion. Why the hell am I doing that?
That's a great question. To test the slow motion capabilities of a camera that I'm going to be doing a review of.
And then we're going to light the fire afterwards, seeing as we're chopping all this wood. So we'll light the fire in the backyard.
And then maybe I will do a test on the low light capabilities of the camera.
You could also get some slow motion shots of the fire.
That's true.
The fire is there'll probably be some cool stuff there.
Yeah, so we will be venturing out to the backyard for you to do that. So, I will just mention a couple of other things.
Yep.
I did see the new The Batman.
Okay.
So there's been Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin,
Batman Begins,
The Dark Knight.
Batman Begins was a real one, right?
Yep. The Dark Knight. And then whatever that third one was that Christopher Nolan did. Batman Revolutions. Batman something. Anyway, and then now, The Batman. The Batman.
But there's only one. It's actually pronounced the Batman.
The Batman.
They don't call it the Batman. They call it the Batman. Hello, can I get one ticket to the Batman, please?
I also just skipped over Batman vs Superman and
Joker, if you count that stuff. Not that Batman's in that. So.
And Suicide Squad, he was in that too. But anyway, so
which Batman was in that one? Which actor?
Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Batfleck was in that Batman.
Right.
So there's been a lot of Batmans. Is this the best Batman? No. You thought I was going to say yes, but I'm not.
I didn't know, but I heard something. I mean, online I've been hearing good stuff.
Look, it's a very good Batman.
Yeah.
There are definitely some issues with it, and I'm going to talk about those. And this is not going to be very spoiler centric.
It's
right?
not going to be?
Not really.
That's lucky because I'm not going to go watch it ever.
Really? I thought you might go out for the Batman.
No. I mean, the last one I saw was the Heath Ledger one.
Yeah?
There's been like 8 since then.
Well, there has been a few since then. So anyway, for me, Batman is very special because I was obsessed with Batman.
Justice League, according to Connor on the live stream.
But Connor, what was the third Christopher Nolan Batman? That's the one I can't remember. Oh, The Dark Knight Rises? Maybe? Anyway, so yes, there's been a lot of Batmans, but Batman for me has been very special. I was bat crazy as a kid.
I liked Batman.
The first toy that I ever bought with pocket money I saved up over the course of like 10 weeks was a Batman.
Yeah.
One of my best Christmas presents I ever got was the Batwing.
Yeah. That's a good.
I mean, that was pretty cool,
the
right?
Batwing is a cool
the
present.
Batwing.
I had it,
and the wings would eject off.
Ooh.
And I was mental for the original Batman.
Yeah.
The Michael Keaton Batman. Like I had the book, the graphic novel, and I would just look at that Batman over and over again. And then I'd watch the Batman, the original Batman. There was no it was just Batman. He was just known as Batman back then. He hadn't added the THE to his title yet. And he was my favorite superhero. And how I learned to draw, one of the ways that I learned to draw was drawing the bat symbol over and over again.
Right.
I was obsessed. I was like a young Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Without the millions of dollars.
And with parents.
And with parents who were not murdered.
No.
Not gunned down.
No. In an alleyway.
And who did not dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. Okay? But regardless, I was like a young Bruce Wayne. Without the gadgets or resources. I didn't live in a mansion. I lived in an okay house next to a farm. But there was still many similarities. I was moody.
Mansions are subjective.
I was moody. I was a moody kid, just like Batman would have been.
Yeah.
With having the murdered parents thing
and all that. Yeah.
So anyway, Batman is like one of my first loves and passions as a kid. And if there was a way to get money being Batman, like, bat related somehow, maybe I would have taken the bat path, right? But I couldn't figure out a way to monetize Batman.
No, the way you would, well, nowadays you could, like you would go out
now
on
I'd
the
do a
streets and
podcast
just do a
about fucking
podcast
Batman
about it.
for the next 100 episodes.
Exactly, yeah. And then if you really wanted to, you could dress up in a bat suit and go out and get him fights on Dominion Road and then document it.
That's true.
If you win, you steal their wallet.
Yeah.
And if you lose, you create great YouTube content out of it. That'll all work.
So we've had like different variations of Batman. We've had the kind of I'm a crazy quirky guy, Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
We've had the I'm a handsome pouty face Val Kilmer sexy Batman.
Aaron Richardson's talking about Val Kilmer just there.
Yeah, he says he's the best Batman. We've had and it's the Dark Knight Rises. Thank you. So that's the third. We've had the super intense. Yeah, we've had the super intense gruff. Overly gruff voice.
That was so stupid. Where was he?
Overly Christian Bale gruff voice Batman.
I can't understand you. I can't understand you. Where is he?
We swear to me.
I'm trying to tell you. I want to tell you. I can't understand you.
And then we've had the Batfleck Batman, the muscled up, kind of actually looking probably the most like Batman of all the Batmans, Batfleck Batman.
Right.
With the voice modulation.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And the killing and the attempted murder of Superman Batman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who changed his tune after hearing that his mother's name was the same name as his mother or some shit. I can't remember. Some nonsense anyway.
Yeah.
But we've had
I did actually watch that Superman versus
we've had the craft. He was a crafty Batman. He figured out a way to beat Superman. I mean, not a single supervillain has figured that out, but Detective Batman got on the case and he figured it out with his technology and shit. Right? So we've got Batfleck Batman, and now we have what I like to call Super Emo Batman. Super Emo Twilight Batman.
It was inevitable.
Emo Twilight Batman. So Robert Pattinson, who was Edward or Richard or something on the Twilight movies.
Edward.
He was the Hunk. He was also Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. And now he's Yep.
Robert Pattinson was in Harry Potter too.
Yeah.
It's news to me. You heard it here first, people. You heard it here on the show.
I mean, it would help if you watched the Harry Potters to know that.
I didn't watch them, but I thought I had a reasonable idea of what that was about.
But now
going on there,
we've got Super Emo Pattinson Batman, and
he should go against the Joker. What's the guy who gets his face punched in Fight Club, and he's a lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars?
Jared Leto's
Joker should go with Robert Pattinson's Batman. And they could be the whole millennial emo thing.
Yeah, although Jared Leto is like 50, just FYI.
Well, is he?
Yeah.
50?
Yeah. Man doesn't age.
No.
That's really insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he was essentially, he was a millennial Joker.
Yeah.
It could have been millennial Joker versus emo Batman. But in this Batman, the Riddler is the Riddler is the villain.
Yeah.
Along with the Penguin, a little bit.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Played by Danny DeVito.
Played by Colin Farrell in a fat suit.
Yeah.
Never hire a fat actor. Never give them an opportunity.
No.
Just get a super handsome person and put them in a fat suit and make them ugly.
Yeah.
Never ever cast someone who just is a little bit fat and has unlucky to have a scarred face and would be perfect for the role.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Yeah. Hire one of the handsomest people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then put them in a big fat suit and put a bunch of silicone on that takes 6 hours per day.
Yeah.
Do that instead.
Yeah, well, it's a concern for me as an actor who's getting
Right?
fatter. As an actor who's getting fatter, this is definitely a concern for me.
And I didn't even mention, I skipped over George Clooney Batman.
Yeah.
Absolutely the worst Batman.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything to do, like, he was fine as Batman. You know, he was just a guy in a suit. But it was more the movie he was in that was the problem. So anyway, we've got emo Batman now. So overall, it's a really good film, and I highly recommend that everyone goes out and sees it. If you like Batman, it's a great Batman. It's probably the best Batman since The Dark Knight. So since the Joker, Heath Ledger one, this is the next.
Better than the Bane.
Better than Bane, absolutely better than Bane.
You just fuck.
Are you going to throw in a quote
the Bane
here?
Quote. I was going to do the Bane.
Yeah.
You just. I can't.
You were born a doctor.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. Born and molded by it. I was not.
So you did watch that Batman as well.
I didn't watch it. That's why I can't quote it.
So you quote it, but you've never watched it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But isn't that because didn't I play Bane in one of your skits or at some point? Because I feel like I had to watch that scene a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
For one of your skits.
I feel like I lifted a line from it or something, and I was like, just think about Bane. Maybe I did. I did. But anyway, so it's good. It looks really good. It's a cool story. Everything is great, right? Batman is all good. I was a little bit skeptical about tactical armor Batman, which is Batman who wears like tactical boots and stuff.
Right.
It's kind of like, hey, he's got bat boots.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear tactical boots. He wears bat boots. He doesn't just wear, I've got tactical boots.
Yeah.
You know, I can't have Batman's boots.
Yeah.
He and I can't wear the same boot.
Boots. Yeah.
That's the whole Batman has got technology and stuff. He's special.
Yeah.
You can't just be wearing just regular shit.
I feel like you think too much about the boots of people in movies because it didn't.
I was
just
obsessed
last week
over
when you were
Mark
obsessed with
Hamill's
Luke,
boots.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker's boots.
Yoga boots. I am not accepting Luke's yoga boots.
And you're not accepting Batman's tactical
tactical boots. No way.
Yeah,
but
okay.
actually, like overall, I feel like his tactical boots kind of fit in with his new bat suit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And his bat suit's kind of like a little bit more kind of casual and like at first I was like, I don't know. But the way that they filmed it, and this is the thing that they must have learned from Christopher Nolan fucking it up so badly, is that Batman is scary at fucking night. Batman doesn't fight in the middle of the fucking day. Because if he did, it'd be a doofus in a fucking rubber suit, kind of can't turn his head properly. Now at nighttime, that's scary. A man in a black rubber suit jumping on, accosting you,
Some people
jumping
are
on
into
you,
this. Yeah.
right? That's a scary thing to imagine.
Yeah.
But in the daytime, it's comical.
Yeah.
And so they've been like, okay, we're going to give him the tactical armor Batman, but we're going to set everything at night. We're going to make it all dark and gloomy and cool. And I was like, okay, I'm on board with that.
It's the gritty Batman.
And so they've gone gritty.
Extra gritty. They've gone grittier.
They've tried to even go maybe even grittier. And maybe that is where my beef is, because essentially there's two problems with the Batman. It's 3 hours long.
Straight away, right? Like, I didn't get around to watching Dune or The Matrix. Both films I really wanted to see. In Dune, I support on an ideological level. This idea of supporting sci-fis at the cinema, that's a big deal to me. I want humanity to chase the stars, and the way to do that is to encourage the youth of today
to watch a protagonist get high on spice and have and go into and what is it? So he gets high on spice and then talks to worms.
Spoil it to me. Yeah, the worm was
I want to encourage people to get high on mushrooms and then go into the garden and try and psychically talk to worms.
Yeah, ideologically, that's what I want. And I didn't get around to seeing either of them. Now, part of it was the COVID pandemic. Part of it was my laziness. And part of it...
That's probably the main part of it.
Part of it was the duration of both of those films. I looked at the duration and I was like, so let me get this straight. If I fucking start at 8 p.m., I get out at 2 a.m., fuck that. I'm not down with that shit. Listen, to all of you, I know that a lot of big-time professional filmmakers watch this podcast, and I want them to know, stop being so fucking self-indulgent. No film needs to be more than 90 minutes long. There's no film that needs to be more than 90 minutes long. Peter Jackson, I'm talking to you, mate. Rein it in. Pull your fucking head in. King Kong didn't need to be that long.
Both our films are over 90 minutes.
Well, we've got to rein that in. We've got to bring that back a notch.
They're 94 and 97 respectively.
But I mean, I would argue that Zombie Holocaust perhaps could be a little tighter. Older would be okay. I think older can stay its length. I thought older was no. Well, pull your fucking head in, you filmmakers.
You're an embarrassment to us. Do as I say, not as I do.
90 minutes. No, okay, look, 90 minutes ish.
90 to 100 minutes.
Yeah, well, 100 is the absolute max.
Okay, that's not very long. But so for me, the 3 hour runtime, it's not that there was anything that was like, that shouldn't have been in, that you were kind of like, oh, what's the fuck's the point in this? It's like everything had a reason and a point and a motivation. But it's like, look, if you're not making The Godfather, then it shouldn't be 3 hours. Only The Godfather can be 3 hours. That's The Godfather 2, by the way. The Godfather 1 wasn't. They'd earned that. The Batman fighting the Riddler and the Penguin does not justify 3 hours. I don't care how much detectiving he's doing here. Speed up his detective work.
The only entertainment...
Speed it up.
The only entertainment...
Cut out a riddle.
The only entertainment that needs to be 3 hours long is the Guy and Harley podcast.
Yeah. Cut out a riddle. Anyway, it was good. So that was my first issue. It was 3 hours long. not too sure about the extreme emo Batman, as in like they really took it to another level. And in fact, I might do a parody about this, but essentially there's always been this thing that's never been acknowledged in Batman movies, which is that all Batmen in all of the Batman movies have to wear bat eyeliner. They have to wear bat eyeshadow.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, they basically have the skin-colored portion around their eyepieces, which looks really weird and not intimidating.
Yeah.
So, of course, the solution to that is just to paint all of that black around that area, and therefore it all looks black, so his eyes look black, and all you see is this piercing blue gaze, right? You know, so they all have to do that. But they also, of course, can't possibly acknowledge that they put on bat liner before they go out to fight crime, because it's very impractical.
Well, it would be kind of funny if they had a scene where he was putting on his
Well, they
his eyeliner.
just about do.
Yeah.
So they acknowledge in this movie that Batman wears bat eyeliner.
Yeah.
And that he paints this on, and when he takes off his mask, you see this kind of bat eyeliner kind of streaked down.
Yeah.
And so they've streaked...
Like he's just starting a porno.
Or like he's just been crying for one reason or another.
Starting a porno.
And so essentially, they've got these emo sections where Bruce Wayne, with his bat eyeliner, turns around looking super emo. And, you know, and it's kind of like... I appreciate that they acknowledge the bat eyeliner. But on the same token, really leaning so heavily into the emo Batman as to have him with emo makeup as Bruce Wayne.
His parents got killed, man. He's a perfect candidate to be an emo.
Well, he is the perfect candidate, but it's just, you know, the literal bat liner on Bruce Wayne. I feel like they maybe should have left it unacknowledged. But anyway, that's one issue. But the real issue is that it's a quite gruesome, violent movie. Which is cool.
Well, that sounds good.
Well, that's cool.
I'm into that.
That's cool for us, Harley.
Yeah.
Us 38-year-old men.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Batman is not for 38-year-old men. Batman is for the youth.
And you think it's too violent for the youth?
Well, that's the issue.
The youth of today, mate, have grown up with the internet. Nothing's too violent for them.
But my issue is that, like...
I've seen people die, man.
Like 5 or 6-year-old me could go see the original Batman and have this whole obsession that I talked about.
Yeah.
And if I'm like, hey, Dad, the new Batman looks really cool. Can I go see it? He'd be like, oh, no, son, I'm afraid that's PG-13.
Yeah.
Or no, R13. It's way too gruesome and horrific for your young eyes. And I go, oh, I guess I'll find another lifelong love that inspired me for years.
Something PG-13.
I guess I'll use something else to learn to draw. Maybe I'll just never learn to draw.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. And that is my big issue, is that...
Well, the world's growing up, though. That's the thing. The world's growing up. You know, when you were a kid, the world was younger. Society was younger. Civilization
more innocent
was younger.
time.
It was a more innocent time, a pre-internet time, and it totally made sense. Nowadays, with
But
the
you
internet,
like you wouldn't show
the average 6-year-old has seen more than a veteran of World War II.
That's not true.
In terms
Harley.
of violence, you know, in
That's
terms
only
of death, destruction.
That's only if their parents have absolutely no ability to input the parental controls on their devices.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of devices around. You know, and a lot of parents probably don't have that as well. A lot of parents are probably a bit like technologically, you know, incompetent. And so, yeah, I think that the average kid, I mean, I've seen more death and destruction than a World War II veteran now. I'm completely jaded.
World War II veterans.
Nah, look, maybe not the World War II veteran, but then your average person who stayed home during the war, who didn't go to war, right? A person who was alive in 1940 whatever and didn't go to war, didn't necessarily see that death and destruction firsthand, and then didn't really get onto the internet. I've seen more death and destruction than those people. And, you know, the average young person has probably seen more death and destruction than the average old person now. It's just that they've seen it all via the internet. But your brain doesn't know the difference. Your eyeballs have seen it. Your brain has processed it. You know, like, there's all sorts of nasty shit out there. I saw a pedo getting eaten by a bulldog. They chopped his penis off, and then the bulldog was eating him from where from the penis up. You know?
Well,
I've seen some shit, man.
I don't know why you clicked on that video, but
Well, it came up somehow. You know, I didn't look it up. I wasn't like, I want to look this up. I never look it up, but Facebook's a dangerous place. If you've got the wrong friends, Facebook's a dangerous place. Sometimes you just see, you know, completely unexpected stuff. You're not mentally prepared for it. And then you're like, I just watched several people die.
well, the algorithm feeds you what you enjoy, Harley. You sick fuck.
You sick fuck. No, you're
Fucking
talking about
animal.
You're talking about sponsored pages, though.
No.
That's pages, as opposed to like if you share something, I can't control what you share, and I'm
Sure.
going to see it.
Yes, but
If
the
Paulette shares
algorithm,
something on
the
Facebook-
algorithm will absolutely share you more things that they think you're more likely to click on and look at.
Yeah, but not your shares, not things
Yeah,
my friends share.
Well, yeah,
but
because if
the
you're
things that pages share.
yeah, but also the things that your friends share. No, because your friends are part of the algorithm as well. So any things that you click
if
on more and friends you click on more.
No, but if I interact with you more than
Yep.
anybody else, I can't control what you share. And if I interact with you regularly,
The
and then
algorithm
the algorithm
will make
knows
you-
that, and then if you share
Yep.
a gore video of a pedo getting his balls eaten, I'm going to see that. I'm gonna
Yes,
see that because
because-
of my association with you.
But also because in the past you've clicked on more videos of mine.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. So, but I can't control what you share.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
So Harley's a sicko pervert, and the algorithm is feeding him death videos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I watch videos of sicko perverts being murdered. So I'm the opposite. I'm like Batman. I'm like Batman, actually.
So Jeremy Jeremy says the best Batman was Adam West. Look, Adam West was a great Batman.
And Paulette says any Batman without Robin is just an imposter.
To be honest, I can really, I really don't like Robin. He's a
Well,
waste of time.
it's a bit
the best
silly.
thing they ever did was kill him in the comic books to give Batman something to be more emo about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of like the idea of the dynamic duo, but Robin, just this idea of this little femboy, like, associate, you know, this little, like, bit on the side that sort of helps him out in his tights.
Femboy.
This little, you know, and it's just a bit much.
Robin,
Yeah.
Batman's femboy friend in Speedos.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So anyway, I think that Batman should be a little bit more universal, and this Batman, because of Matt Reeves' take, is so dark and emo, and they're kind of like fuck any kids that might enjoy this.
Right. Yeah, which is what Aaron says here. It says it's gone away from its comic book roots.
Yeah, so they've maybe gone a little too far in that direction. The other problem is, and we've talked about this before, but if you get if you go too gritty and realistic, it's like, you're right, it's not a comic book anymore, but it's also
to
like,
escape.
but it's also like, okay, if it's not a comic book anymore, then this is a man in a rubber suit dressed as a bat, wearing bat liner, running about like a dipshit. And that's hard to take seriously if we're saying it's all gritty and realistic.
Yeah.
It's a lot more easy to take seriously in a comic book context where all superheroes do that.
Yeah.
Still the greatest superhero, the man with no powers.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with that. Probably is the best superhero. I used to have a little, when I was a kid, I had like, I was a big Batman fan as well, and I had various Batman bits and pieces. And I remember I had like a Batman doll. Didn't really do much. It wasn't like, it didn't really move particularly well, but it was a Batman doll. It had a cape, you know, it was Batman. And I really liked it. But then one day I nibbled the ears off it. I nibbled the ears off the top of the Batman suit. Don't know what made me do that, but I chose to do that.
But it does lead into this obsession with watching death videos on YouTube.
And nibbling people's ears.
There is a connection.
I also nibble people's ears regularly still. So nibbling his wee ears off. And
Mike
then-
Tyson people in the bedroom.
And it was kind of new, I think. It was still kind of new. And my mum was like, well, what the fuck happened here? What's going on with his ears? What happened to Batman's ears? And I was like, oh, that was the cat. The cat did that. And she did not believe me. And I did get in trouble.
Well, at least your mum was smart enough to be like, fuck, it's the cat.
The cat
You
wouldn't make
sick
any
weirdo.
wouldn't make any
Stop
sense.
nibbling on the ears. What's wrong with you?
Wouldn't make any sense. A cat wouldn't nibble like that. Maybe a tiny little dog, an itty
Yeah.
bitty puppy might nibble like that, perhaps.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I didn't have an itty bitty puppy scapegoat at the time to blame that on. Yeah. So you finished with Batman? You done with the?
Yeah, I'm
your
done with Batman.
Yeah, okay. Well, I did finish watching Don't Look Up.
Oh, yep.
And
Congratulations, you finished the movie. It's
Yeah,
only
it's 6
taking you
months
the
on.
last however many weeks.
yeah, well, I watched half first and then half several weeks later.
You watch them in 10-minute chunks now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I watched. I
The
finished.
best way to watch a movie.
I finished Don't Look Up.
10-minute chunks, six weeks apart.
You can do that now. That's the way it works now. I do the same with long YouTube videos. You just watch a bit, pause it, and move on. Same with podcasts. You can do that with the Guy and Harley podcast if you want. You just listen to a bit, come back, pick it up later, keep on going. And so I did watch Don't Look Up. I did think it was pretty good. It was a bit like it had it reminded me of Death to 2020. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of had the same vibe to me as Death to 2020. This idea that it was kind of like you've got these, people in the middle that can kind of understand what's going on, and then you surround them with these absurd characters who just don't understand what's going on, and it's just everything's just so ridiculous. But it's all based on reality and grounded by current affairs.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought it was pretty good, and it was. It was exactly what's happening in the world right now, with people denying COVID and people dying from COVID and people using COVID to get clout, people using COVID to get elected, and all of these types of things. It was just sort of a pretty fair reflection on society today. And I thought that was, it was pretty decent. But, and also I quite enjoyed that Leonardo DiCaprio was not playing somebody who was kind of a cool guy or, like an attractive cool guy. He was kind of still meant to be like an attractive cool guy.
I mean, he was essentially an attractive, schlubby scientist.
Yeah. But he was not super confident.
No.
He was not a super confident character, which I kind of liked to see him as a character who's not super confident, because oftentimes that's what he plays, right? And so pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I do think you should go out and watch it and keep in mind that it's actually about COVID and how stupid humanity is.
And climate change.
And every other existential threat facing humanity.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch, but the Batman is better.
Well, I was considering watching The Batman with my brother, with Connor. Shout out Connor again. We went into the cinema yesterday, and I just had a wee look to see if Dune or The Matrix was still there, which I knew it obviously wasn't because that's from 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
But we were in the area, and so it was like, yeah, okay, I definitely can't watch Dune or The Matrix, and then it was like The Batman or The Batman, basically. There was nothing else on at the moment.
Oh, yeah, I think you definitely enjoy the Batman.
Well, 3 hours, mate. Like I said, the podcast's the only thing that should be 3 hours long.
Well, before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I visited an art gallery yesterday.
Great. You're becoming refined in
I'm
your
a
old age.
sophisticated gentleman.
You're a sophisticated gentleman.
Well,
I've always said that.
the lovely lady that I'm seeing wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I?
I was wondering if she was still around. I hadn't seen her for a while. I was thinking,
Who am I
I
to
wonder what the scoop is there.
get in the way?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so I went to the Parr Homestead, which is like a gallery where they have various things on, and it's like kind of this cool old house. They've got a nice cafe, got some beautiful views of the city, all this sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, this is a great place to take a date and look smart, right? Mm-hmm. Look like an intelligent, sophisticated gentleman.
Cunning.
Yeah, so...
Arguably deceitful.
Yeah. So I took her there, and I was like, wow, the art in here is fucking terrible. Mm-hmm. The artwork, the concept of it, everything about it is bad. Mm-hmm. And there was 3 different exhibitions on within it. And I was like, all of these are absolute shit. One of them was just a wall full of protest signs.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's arty. It's edgy, bro. That's edgy.
How much work went into fucking that?
Yeah. Well, art is not about the work, mate. It's about the emotions that it evokes in you.
Yeah.
And this one evoked rage in you, which is the point of a protest.
Well, no, it evoked...
Don't you get it?
It evoked boredom in me.
Which
and
is
disinterest.
The point. Which is the point. It's a reflection on the fact that the world is falling apart and the average Joe is bored and wants to watch Batman.
Rather than go to the art gallery.
It's a reflection on our modern society.
So I was like, man, I saw that exhibition and I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. I've taken my girlfriend here, who loves fine art and appreciates art and is an artist in her own right, And I've taken here, like, trying to be the cool guy, and I've taken her and she's looking at a bunch of shitty protest signs. It's like fucking Wellington fucking Parliament all over again, right? So I was like, okay, this is embarrassing. Hopefully there's something a little bit better upstairs. So I ventured upstairs to see a bunch of badly photographed photos about people all over the world being disconnected. And so it was like a person with some toilet paper hung around their neck. Multicolored toilet paper hung around their neck. That was one of the photos. And I was like,
And how's that disconnected? What's that got to do with
I
being
don't
disconnected?
fucking know, Harley.
Yeah.
I really, and there was one that there were two people with masks on, and they were chained by some paper.
Yeah.
The paper chain, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, not amazing.
Yeah.
All right. And I was like, okay, so we've gone from these shitty signs downstairs to these shitty photographs upstairs. There was another one, right? And there was a lady, and obviously, so there was a lady like this. With we're seeing on the live stream here, but kind of posing like this, right?
We're doing jazz hands.
Right? And she was like in surprise sort of thing. And then, but you couldn't see her face. A giant Easter egg had been photoshopped poorly onto her head. So it was just these hands and a big giant Easter egg covering her face. Poorly photoshopped Easter egg.
Yeah.
They're paying thousands of dollars for this, guys.
Yeah.
I literally could do this better on a fucking YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, oh, okay. That's too, like, I'm now doubly embarrassed. You know, I've come here and I've shamed myself.
Yeah.
By advocating this as a place for, you know, great art and to appreciate great art. And I was like, okay, let's go into this extra room. Let's go into this. Let's go into this kind of experiential room where you know, it's more like an installation or something, and you absorb all the art in this darkened room. And I was like, man, this will be great. Well, what's in here? So we ventured in, and I'm going to call it out right here. I'm going to call out the artist. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to shit all over it.
Okay, this is probably one of my friends.
Yeah, Gabriel White.
Oh, Gabe. Shout out, Gabe. Sifty 150 listener.
Requiem for a City, right?
Yeah.
And so what it was it's called Countdown Mountain, a new exhibition that explores Tamaki Makaurau over 2021.
For those that are not bilingual, Tamaki Makaurau is
Auckland. Auckland City.
It's the Māori name for Auckland.
A period White describes as a lost year, showing at Pa Homestead. That's where I was. The exhibition takes the form of a 53-minute film and a 120-page book. In the film, White performs the role of urban wanderer. His camera alighting on road cones and signage and inscrutable infrastructure of the modern city. On the accompanying voiceover, White delivers ultra-mundane interpretations of his subject matter, which are alternately dark, lyrical, and deadpan. So, translation. Some fucking dipshit films the parking lot.
Shout out, Gabe.
Films the parking lot of Countdown and the zebra lines, and then waffles on about these lines in a non-humorous, non-entertaining, ultra-mundane way before we move on to a set of road cones or a piece of pavement or the most... And also, this is not shot nicely. This is shot on a fucking iPhone. This is 53 minutes of your toddler when your kid gets the phone and hits record and it's just recording any old shit, and you're like, what the fuck is all this stuff on my phone? Why did you record this stuff? I'm sorry, Daddy, I just hit the button. I didn't know what I was doing.
You stupid little shit!
And I was like, well, could you at least point it at something interesting? Oh, I didn't know what I was doing, Daddy. Okay, this is that, but in a 53-minute installation. So this is a 53-minute video of this iPhone of a guy filming road cones and talking about it in an ultra-mundane way. And this is the big problem I have with art. This is the big problem.
It's interpretive, Guy.
I used to date an artist, and she used to tell me, I would see shit like this.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what is
So
that?
how did she explain it? How did she justify it?
That's the thing. basically what she'd always say to me is, I'd be like, what in the fuck is this dumb? This is ridiculous. It didn't take time, effort, or thought. So the three things that I would consider to be important
Good for art.
in art,
Yeah.
but like if something didn't take time, maybe it was really, really clever and thought-provoking. Okay? There is absolutely nothing thought-provoking about showing the countdown zebra crossing and talking about the zebra crossing at countdown. Zero thought is to be provoked from that. And anyway, so she, my artist girlfriend that I used to date,
How many times removed? You're
5 times at least.
So she's a 5+. She's a 5+er removed.
We're going way back.
Yeah. So your artist ex-girlfriend.
And she was like,
girlfriend
she
5
was-
times removed.
She was like, that's the problem, Guy. You just don't fucking get it.
Well, mate,
You
she
are
might be onto something.
you are uneducated, and you just don't understand what makes art and what makes art good,
Yeah.
and the different levels of interpretation
Yeah.
and what you should be aware of when looking at something like this. And to that I say, bullshit. This is just bad. And what's disturbing is this guy would have got thousands of dollars in a grant to do this.
Yeah.
And this
That's your
guy,
taxpayer dollars, New Zealand.
this guy is just sitting around. He's like, fuck, I don't really have any good ideas for my art. Like, I don't have anything good. I've done heaps of cool stuff, but I don't have anything good right now. Well, oh, fuck, the exhibition is due. I meant to produce something for this exhibition. Fuck, what can I do in the next couple of days? Well, I
didn't need to go to Countdown.
I do need to go to
I've got
Countdown.
my
I've got some shopping to do.
Yeah.
What if I just filmed Countdown? And what if I just talked really boringly over the top of Countdown and roads and pieces of pavement? And that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
I'm reflecting back on what good art should be and doing the opposite of it. And that's what makes my art so great and this exhibition so brilliant and genius. But really, it's just an excuse because he got given this grant for this thing. He had
had to
no good
provide
ideas.
something.
And so he just got out his iPhone. You know, it's like when you study for a test, except you didn't do any study and the test is the next day and you just stay up real late till like
Jerking off.
2 a.m. and you kind of get it done and you just go, oh, here you go. And you pass.
Yeah.
That's what this piece of art is. This 53-minute abomination.
Did you watch the whole 53 minutes?
Of course not.
I should hope
I
not.
watched like a few minutes and I was like, this is so bad. But I also just want to read. I'm going to read a little section.
Okay, well, before you read it though, did you hear about this guy recently who was an artist who presented a piece of art? His name is Jens Harning, and his piece of art was called "Take the Money and Run," and it was $84,000. The commission was $84,000, so he got $84,000 for this. The piece of art was called "Take the Money and Run," and what he delivered was a blank canvas, and he put it on the wall in the art gallery, and they put it up. So he literally just gave them a blank canvas for $84,000, and the name of the artwork was "Take the Money and Run." It's fucking genius.
I mean, at least that's clever.
Yeah, right? I mean, it takes some kahunas as well. It takes some balls to do that.
There's nothing clever about
Presumably that art gallery never commissioned him again.
Requiem for a City.
Yeah, by Gabriel.
By Gabriel White. So here's a little snippet, and this is going to give you an insight onto the artist that I dated as well.
Okay.
The mindset of these people and the way they sometimes talk, or shall we say, talk down.
Well, an art degree will give you a certain air of superiority.
Well, it won't give you
a job
or a steady income.
Yeah.
But
an air of superiority.
Yes, maybe so.
Yeah.
So in this conversation, Matthew Wood is interviewing White and discusses his 20-year practice. So he's been making films as long as me, right? This guy, Gabriel White, has been making films as long as me, 20 years. And he's come up with a montage of iPhone countdown footage in 20 fucking years. This is the best he could come up with. Now listen to this interview, and this is how we see art kind of spiraling out of control and the level of pretentiousness that we get to. Matthew, your psychogeographies are short poetic notes, ostensibly arising from specific moments of perception within urban and suburban landscapes. How are these musings generated? Gabriel, I'm an intensely verbal person with a
Verbal diarrhea.
with a restless mind. And in all honesty, I've struggled to find arenas in which to express that aspect of myself. At a certain point, I turned to dialoguing with my surroundings, aka fucking talking to yourself, you cunt.
Shout out, Gabriel.
Dialoguing with my surroundings. The comments are indeed made in the moment, freehand.
Oh, freehand.
Off the top of your fucking head.
Like he's drawing the comments, drawing the dialogue.
Although I do multiple takes, I find that a spontaneous comment made in a half bewildered state often says more than I initially realized and generates unexpected connections.
What a imbecile.
Of course, I end up producing far more material than I need, and it's in the sorting through and editing the material that a less naive artfulness comes into play. Fuck off. Get fucked.
Gabriel is literally a friend of mine, so shout out to Gabriel.
Have you checked your Facebook?
No, come on. I don't think I know him.
Of course you don't know him, because if anyone talked at you like this and said these things, and you go, yeah, I'm interested in dialoguing with my surroundings, you go, you mean talking to yourself, mate?
Yeah.
And you go,
I do like that, dialoguing with your surroundings. What are you doing? I'm just dialoguing with my surroundings. I do, to be fair, I do quite a bit of dialoguing with my surroundings. What I don't do is I don't take it and document it and present it as art. And perhaps that's where I'm failing.
The comments are made in the moment.
Yeah.
You mean you just thought of them with no planning, preparation? You made no effort, you mean? Freehand? Fucking freehand.
Freehand talking. He's doing freehand talking.
Cool, congratulations. Is that what you got your degree in? Freehand talking?
Freehand talking. I like that. Again, this is why I shouldn't be naming the episodes before the show, because we could have called this episode Freehand Talking.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing. Do we deserve to be at an exhibition of a gallery with this podcast?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, I find that a spontaneous comment made in a half bewildered state often says more than I initially realize. Oh, like it, fuck it does.
Like fuck.
Anyway, that was just, so I just wanted to, so don't go to Par Homestead and look at that 53-minute installation.
No.
Because you'll never get that time back. You'll never get it back. So,
Shout out to Tyler Adams.
He's just come in after my mad rant.
Yep.
And Jeremy asks...
After that potential highlight.
So Jeremy says...
You cunt!
So Jeremy says, have we seen Reacher yet? No, I haven't. But Jeremy says he really enjoyed it.
I have seen Reach Around. I've been watching a lot of Reach Around on the internet.
And Jeremy also says that Gabriel was doing improv. See, Harley, it does exist.
Right, yeah. So that's fair.
Well, it's a good example of, like, if this is a great actually example of Harley's point working.
Yeah.
Because essentially it demonstrates that good improv is impossible.
Yeah.
Because if
you need to put in some thought.
You have to put in thought and time and practice and rehearse. And if you don't, you end up with a 54-minute exhibit about a countdown car park where you talk absolute drivel.
Exactly.
And make no discernible, interesting points.
Yes, exactly.
Hang your head in shame, Gabriel White.
Shame on your undies.
Shame on you. You're an artist. You got paid to do this.
Nah, look, I mean, for me personally, look, I haven't seen it. Maybe I would watch it and go, wow, Guy's a real imbecile. He just did not understand.
Didn't get it. Well, it's like,
this is brilliant. This really blew my mind.
It's like that ex-girlfriend 5 times removed.
What'd you say it was? Surroundings, talking with your surroundings. What did he call it?
Oh, what was that line again? Dialoguing.
Dialoguing with your surroundings. Yeah. No, I'll go and check it out, and I'll be like, fucking brilliant. I'm gonna start dialoguing with my surroundings.
This is genius. This has made me appreciate Countdown Car Park in a whole different way.
But yeah, it does sound like
I was only looking at it like a car park where I park my car.
If you're gonna give him, some credit though, right?
Yeah.
Here's where I would be giving him some credit.
Yeah.
I admire Gabriel White, if you're listening. which he is, 5150 listener, Gabriel White.
He won't be listening
I admire-
after he's heard this episode.
Well, you've called him a cunt. You've called him a cunt directly. So
Did I?
yeah, you cunt. And so
Did I go that far?
you took it that far.
Did I take it that far?
You've made an enemy for life now.
Yeah.
No, but look, the thing I would say is that making a living as an artist is difficult.
Sure.
And in any type of creating art sort of space, it doesn't matter which kind of art it is, it is very difficult to do that. And so this is a person who has had the balls to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to dialogue with my surroundings, and then I'm just going to document it, and then I'm going to call it art. Now, you could do that.
Sure.
I could do that. We could all do that. But we didn't do it because we didn't have balls like Gabriel does. So shout out to Gabriel White's balls.
The sheer audacity.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Tyler Adams, he has emailed me a couple of highlights from last episode, which I haven't got around to looking at yet. I've been a little busy. I've had my brother here, and I've been hanging out with him, so I do apologize, Tyler. I'm going to look at those and figure out which ones we're going to be uploading. But yes, so shout out to Tyler, the VFX creator.
Well, I think that should come to an end if we're losing the light, people.
Okay, we need to go outside. We're going to shoot some. We're going to shoot me dressed as a lumberjack, chopping up wood in slow motion. It's going to be great. You're going to see it on the Savage Filmmaker YouTube channel. And my OnlyFans, so go and check out my OnlyFans as well if you want to do that. And so, yes, so I guess that brings us to the end. All the useful links are down below, and all of the links below really do help us. If you want to start investing while the stock market is low, now's a great time, and there's a couple of links down below to sign up. You can also, and you get a referral, and so do I, a referral fee, and so do I. And you can also support us by checking out our other videos and our films, such as Older, by subscribing wherever you're listening right now. Please do subscribe and hit like, and that all really helps us. If you're listening on iTunes or anywhere like that, give us a review. All of that stuff, it really makes a huge difference to us, and it doesn't take up too much of your time, and it costs you nothing, but it makes us money potentially. So that's a really great way to support us. There's also a link in the description. Now we probably need to push this a little bit more. There's a link in the description where you can make a one-off donation to the show. And it's called Buy Us a Beer. And basically what it is you can buy the beers for the show. So if you ever do that, if you ever give us $20 or something like that to go and buy some beers, we will call you the official sponsor of the episode. You will get many shout outs and digital blowjobs from us. So do please consider doing that. That's all in the description there. Other than that, we will be back every Sunday at 5 p.m. New Zealand time, and we'll see you then.
See ya when we see ya.
And it's going to say we'll be starting soon, but it means thank you for watching.